Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk.
Welcome, my friends. It's Talk to Solomon time. Thank you for joining us. My name is Stan Solomon. I'm the host.
I am Chief Steve Davis, the co-host.
Former Police Chief Steve Davis, the lawman extraordinaire, and our guest of honor, Major General Jerry Kerry. Jerry, how are you, sir?
I am doing great. Chief, it's so good to see you.
My pleasure. You're my favorite general.
And his number of favorite generals has been going down by the day here. We were going to talk about a lot of things, including your new book, and I will get to that. But I want to just start with the fact that, well, let's just start with this. Barack Obama said he's considering John Kerry to be the Secretary of Defense. Can you imagine the Secretary of Defense being a known, dishonest, disingenuous coward like John Kerry?
No, it's amazing to me that we would go down this road. Kerry, of all the people in the Senate, he is probably the least qualified man in the Senate to be the Secretary of Defense, and I can tell you he is not going to have a good time in that Pentagon. The professional military people, the bureaucrats in that building are not going to be welcoming to him. He is not going to have a great reception, and he is going to have constant problems from the day he walks into that building.
Well, I can only imagine, but John Kerry is, like Barack Obama, arrogant, insolent, and could give a rat's behind whether Americans live or die, whether American military live or die, and whether professionals recognize him to be the idiot that he is, the gold digger, looking for a richer and richer woman so that he can live the way he wants to live. Now, that's my humble opinion, but maybe I overstate. Chief?
No, I think you're very accurate. Go ahead, Chief.
Well, one thing I've noticed, first of all, in all walks of life, leaders that are good leaders, when things go amiss, they always re-examine their philosophy. And those that are not, examine the nuts and bolts. And in this administration, it appears that the philosophy is so off-kilter, so bad, that it's really influenced some of our most top military officials. And so to put someone like John Kerry in a position like that, to further downgrade and denigrate the philosophy that should be with our military, which should be based on esprit de corps and love of country and patriotism, and to downgrade that and say it's okay to not be that way. It's okay to not give it all for your country. It's okay to squander your beliefs and to squander your values. I think it's very, very bad for America.
I think John Kerry would be the perfect guy to lead the Defense Department while Israel is being destroyed, to say, well, it's not in our best interest. General?
He probably would say that. What's going on in this appointment is, this is the president thumbing his nose at the military establishment. He doesn't like the military. He doesn't like particularly the United States of America. And I think he is deliberately tweaking the nose of the United States and of our military.
Well, let's go a step further. We have seen two of our unquestionably top generals dragged down by a situation in the case of, Petraeus, that he had an affair, because we've now decided in this country that monogamy is not a requirement, fealty to oath is not a requirement, and therefore loyalty to country is not a requirement. And so our strongest general has now been reduced to nothing, basically, of being irrelevant, of lacking any ability to make meaningful input. We've got General Allen, the head of the Marines, that may or may not be destroyed by this, but I think we're seeing the deliberate undoing of our military leadership so as to gild them so they're unable to oppose this Marxist, illegitimate, irreverent, disgusting excuse for a president. That's my opinion, General.
I think that you're accurate again with this one. He knows exactly what he's doing. And my guess is if we knew very closely the generals who have been promoted to the next highest rank since he has come into power, we would be really surprised at the people he's. For example, I remember when Jimmy Carter was president, and we had some things very similar to, not this bad, but very similar kinds of things that talked about duty, talked about honor, talked about integrity, and it was being sacrificed. And what Jimmy Carter did, because I was in the Pentagon at the time and I was part of the process, what he did is he called over for the certain number of records on generals, and he personally went through them. And then he personally interviewed the generals. And we found that those of us who were back in the building, the building means the Pentagon, we found that the people he selected to be promoted to the highest jobs were people who we would say were questionable. That is, we generals would say were questionable. And it was very clear to us that his intention was to get people who would do whatever it was he wanted done without any question of any kind, and that's the way they got promoted.
Well, it seems to me it was a guy named Saakashvili, if I'm saying it correctly, who became chairman of the Joint Chiefs. This man's loyalty to America was highly dubious and has since proved that it was not what it should be or what it would have had been required to be. Call me a conspirator. I believe we are seeing the undoing of America, and part and parcel of that is the undoing of real leadership in our military and replacing them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Muhammad become the the top person in each of the branches. He's going to pick people that will put something other than America's best interest first. I'll just put it that way. Chief?
Well, it's not just the top either. It's at the bottom. You know, you look at the Obama administration, they're trying to reduce the benefits for the servicemen and their veterans benefits. They're trying to reduce their pay and those other factors. They've also brought in this homosexual facade into the military, full bore, and so now you're forcing our young men and women who want to serve in the military and go serve their country and maybe fight for their country to be forced with those social issues that are very uncomfortable, especially when you force them to live in certain arrangements where they're crowded and confined in either a barracks and or a field environment where it's very uncomfortable. So it's from the top and the bottom as well.
Agreed. I agree. It's top and bottom as well. And that's the direction this man is going. He's decided, and the American people understood that, I think, when they voted him back in office again last week.
Well, they didn't vote him back in. It is my not so humble opinion. This election was egregiously, overtly, and in your face stolen. I don't believe Barack Obama was reelected at all. I think we have more than ample evidence that they simply did what they needed to do to win, including manufacturing votes and changing machines. Do you know George Soros owns the company that owns many of the voting machines in this country? And we had all kinds of reports that they voted for Romney and it showed up as Obama. And those that caught it got it changed, but those who didn't catch it had no idea. I promise you this election was stolen.
It probably was. The one before this was stolen.
Well, I am to the point of feeling that the system no longer works. Now, General, what would you respond to someone who would say that?
I would say that the system no longer works.
I wanted to get it from someone who had more credibility than I.
Well, but one good example is the Allen West story, where he was leading his opponent by over 1,500 votes, I believe it was, and then all of a sudden, miraculously, at 1 o'clock in the morning, 4,000 votes show up against him. Yeah. So what trunk did they come out of? Where were they hiding?
And it's 141% of the registered voters voted in order to beat him. And it's like they dare you to say anything about it. They want to call you names. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference.
Where are we with Allen West, by the way? They had a recount, didn't they?
Well, they're in the process.
Okay.
They're demanding a recount of the entire state because they're in Broward County. Broward County is Miami. Do you know that Barack Obama got 99.9% of all the votes? Now, does anyone believe that?
Believe it. Listen, there's nothing these folks won't do to steal an election.
That's my point. And the question is, what will we do to stop it, to reverse it, to stand up against it? Are we simply to say, all right, he's now the president? In my opinion, he's a crook. He needs to be indicted. He needs to be tried. He needs to be convicted. And he needs to be sent to jail for the rest of his life, which I hope is 30 minutes.
Stan, I'm going to tell you what, though. A prominent leader in Indiana told me one time, not too long ago, he'd rather lose the election than be accused of being ungentlemanly. And as long as we're going to play the game rather than fight the game, we're going to lose a lot of elections. And maybe the whole everything.
We'll lose all elections from this point forward.
You got it right, Chief, because that's exactly the way it is. I don't understand this business of kissing up to everybody that's running against you. This is not a game. We're playing for the future of the nation. And the answer is you play the game and you play it as hard as you need to play it to win, and you play it on whatever levels you have to play it to win, but you win.
But we're not doing that. On our side, our leaders are using pristine for gargle. It's just, did I say that in a politically correct way? The fact is, we have no one, with the possible exception of Allen West, that is willing to stand, even Romney. And again, Romney is not an ultra-conservative by a stretch of the imagination, but Romney didn't say a word that there are irregularities here. This is not acceptable.
Well, his campaign was sabotage as well.
When they were talking to Romney about his taxes, I didn't understand why he didn't just go on the camera and say, look, folks, when Obama shows us his grades and all of his records from school and college, I'll be happy at that very same second to show you my tax returns. And that's the way he should have handled that thing. I just don't understand why he didn't.
The fact is, Romney did everything he needed to do to win, and he won, and he was cheated, and we were cheated, and the country was cheated. That's fact. I mean, we have 59 precincts in Philadelphia that gave 100% of the vote to one candidate and not a single solitary vote to the other candidate. Now, that does not exist.
As they say, it doesn't pass the smell test.
Well, you know, everyone wants to be nice. I don't. At this point, I think the only good Democrat is one that has been disemboweled, not literally, but virtually by the exposure of their dishonesty. You cannot try. Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, these people are thieves, and we're letting them get away with it. I don't think we should let them do that. I think, 22 states have moved for secession. What do you think of that, General?
No, I don't think. Listen, I think, as I said, this is for real. We are playing for the future of this nation, and you don't let them get away with anything. I don't care what it is. At any level, you don't let them get away with it. You don't just smile and turn around and walk away and be nice and be sweet. The answer is, I came here to win. I came here to kill you if I have to. I don't mean literally, but I mean that's the way we're going to play the game.
Rear Admiral Charles M. Guyot was relieved from his command of the Carrier Strike Group, CSG-3, currently in the Middle East, one of the 5 Navy carrier strike groups, because he didn't want to see Americans die in Benghazi. Now, you have a president, may he drop dead today and do America a favor, that is going to disembowel all of our quality military leaders and replace them with perverts and non-patriots, and they're doing it right in our face, and we're letting it happen.
Yep. And the Republican Party, I don't know where it is. It sure didn't show up for duty when we had the election. We didn't even get people out to vote. And
well, again, I would say with all deference to evidence, some of which I don't have, I believe the Republicans did come out to vote, and their votes were switched.
There's the outrage.
Yeah, but there's a difference, though, between the Republican voters and the Republican leadership. There's a vast difference.
Right. We have no leadership. We have people that want to be invited to the parties. We have people that don't want to be called names. We have people that want to be acceptable for television stations and or networks to put them on and pay them. And we don't have patriots in the Republican Party. We have communists and perverts in the Democrat Party.
Yep. All of the above.
When the Democrats lose an election, they are right in the Republicans' face, tooth and nail, saying, you're not going to get away with anything. You're not going to get anything you want. We're going to fight you tooth and nail. When Republicans lose, they cry. They put their tail between their legs and they leave. And
they immediately bend over and say, what can we do to make you like us? Now, I want to go back to this Admiral. Can you imagine, you have decades of military, can you imagine a top general or a top admiral being relieved of their command because they wanted to save Americans in distress?
No way. No way, Jose.
So what does this mean, General?
It means if we keep going down this road, my dear friend, we're not going to have this country that we know and love and were born into, and George Washington and all of the others came along. This is amazing to me. We don't deserve this, I don't think, and I think that we just have to pay attention. The American people are going to have to rise up and do something because the Republicans aren't going to rise up.
Define, General, rise up.
That what needs to happen is somebody needs to pick up this nation by its feet and smack its bottom and tell it to wake up. That's what needs to happen.
I think we are going to see in my next little story, which everyone saw, owners of guns have been stocking up. In October, the number of background checks increased by 18.4%. I believe that there are hundreds of millions of Americans, there's only 300 million of us, and I'm going to say the vast majority know what's coming. We're going to see civil war. We're going to see racial war. We're going to see economic war. We're going to see a breakdown. We're going to see a power play by those in government. We're going to see the division of this country into the governing class and the rest of us. We're going to see the stripping, the usurping, the robbing of the wealth of this country, and it's all going to go, quote unquote, to government. That's my opinion. Yours, Chief.
I think you're right. I think that's coming. And the one thing that we've missed as a nation is in the Constitution, in the Second Amendment, it talks about a well-regulated militia. And it doesn't mean regulated by the government, it means regulated by the people. We really don't have that. So if and when this comes to play, the one thing we're missing is organization and leadership in order to combat our own government. So it will be messy at first, but once those leaders emerge that the General was talking about, that's what we really need in order to get this thing, if it happens, back on track.
General, could you see some of our military leaders standing up and saying, we have how do I say this? We have a government that is not legitimate, and therefore it is time to put America back on its track and to have an honest election, and in the meantime, to take control of government so it stops stealing from, imprisoning, and killing its people? Because I don't think there's any difference between what's happening in Syria and what will be happening in America in the next 2-3 years.
No, I can't see it. The military service to the Constitution and to the American people is too strong. I cannot. Maybe this new generation of generals would go down that road, but I can tell you the generals I served with, I don't think there was any condition that could come along that they would stand up and say the United States government cannot be obeyed, cannot be followed. There's something terribly wrong with our government, and we've got to fix it. I couldn't see that happening.
Well, if you're correct, General, there is no hope, because if this president, and I think he would, we did throw his own grandmother under the bus. I think he would throw anyone, including his wife and kids, in my opinion. I don't know that it's fact, but I think he will turn the military on the American people. Now, do you think the American military will turn on the American people?
No. The American people, the American military is not going to turn on the American people. That's just not going to happen.
And it's a dilemma, because the general's right. Military leaders they're taught and they know the dangers of a military coup. So they would not let themselves fall into that arena. But also, all military officers take an oath, and part of that oath says, I will defend the Constitution and protect America from enemies foreign and domestic. But no one really explains what a domestic enemy is. I believe we're finding that out right now. So it is a dilemma.
Well, you know, again, I don't know. I'm not in the military, but I believe that they're putting in these perverts who have, by their track record, no inhibition about doing anything to themselves or anyone else. I think they're replacing all of our military leaders with puppets, and I have great trepidation. General?
You have reason. I think you have reason. The idea of replacing our leaders with those who are just going to sort of bend over and say, thank you very much. I think that if that's happening, and it may be happening, by the way, but if that is happening, my dear friend, we are in deep trouble.
All right, let me ask for some prognostications. Now that we've reelected this moron, this idiot, this lowlife, this scumbag, and I'm trying to think of the nice things I can say, to be in charge of our future, what do you think is going to happen? Because he's obviously not going to do anything to any Muslims anywhere other than help them. What do you think will happen when Iran gets a nuclear weapon, which it unquestionably will in this next term, maybe in this next year? Do you think he will simply stand down as Iraq launches an attack on Israel? Not Iraq, Iran, I'm sorry.
Yes, I think he will. I don't see this fellow standing up to Iraq or Iran or anybody else. I don't think that's in him. I think this guy's deliberate intention is not to stand up, and I believe that he is going to see to it, or try to see to it, that our country is totally defeated every way that is possible, militarily, economically, in every way possible. I think that that's his intention. But I got to tell you, you know, I served 34 years in the military, and I can say to you that there, and I have met some recently, by the way, there are people like me in the military who at some point in time will say, look, stop, time out, I've had enough of this, we're going to get it sorted out.
But if they just resign because they won't do anything dishonorable, they'll just get a thank you very much, drop dead, go away, and don't write. I don't think resigning is going to get the job done. That's my opinion. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and put General Kerry once again on the hot seat. And why he comes on this show, I don't know. I'm sure it's against his better judgment, but we certainly appreciate it.
He's a patriot.
He's a patriot. And I'm a pain. Well, at least they're both with P. This is Talk to Solomon. We'll be right back. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com, and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out.